Introduce myself. I'm Bruce Isaac. I'm the Chief Growth Officer for Servion Global. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Sandeep Kumar, who's the Chief Digital and Innovation Officer at Kingston College Hospital. And you've had some great experiences over the last few days. So we'd like to dig into that a little bit, hear what you've been up to. But first, I think a little bit about yourself. I know you a little bit, these folks don't. So tell us about yourself and what you do here.
You know, actually, I'm a perfect person who can explain this whole point about your career can never be planned, right? Because I grew up in finance, corporate finance, and M&A and transactions. And about halfway through my career, I decided that I wanted to do something different. So I went into management consulting. Actually, at the time, it was social advisory, so truly public sector focused. And my first client in that industry was healthcare. That was 11 years ago.
And where was that?
This is in Australia, in a state called Queensland.
Oh, Queensland, the west?
Right. Well, the actual east, the east. Queensland.
Really? Oh, Queensland North, right.
Yes,
Got
yes,
it. Yes,
northeast.
right.
The great northeast. And my focus there was to help social businesses transform, you know, all the meanings of transformation, whether it be meeting citizen expectation, but also as a public entity, we're also worried about sustainability, both in financial aspects, but to make sure that we continue to give the care that patients need for that.
Right.
But, you know, long story short, the private sector pulled me back. And about a year ago, I joined King's here.
Brisbane, I guess? Was that where you were? Or?
I was actually originally in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Focused on the state and the country. I had some really interesting pieces of work I did that were nationwide, but also largely state focused. And then I got so deeply drawn into it that I joined a public provider. One of the biggest public providers in Australia. Is
public mean private in that sense, or is it private?
No, it's truly public.
Oh, public.
Taxpayer paid.
Got it.
And I was the first Chief Transformation Officer, like you could have it, in Australia, in a public university hospital.
Oh,
2,000 beds. And spent 5 years there, really driving all realms of transformation, whether it be in research, whether it be in clinical care and redesign, or whether it be in technology, whether it be commercialization, a whole raft of things. And that kind of led me to the UAE. I wanted to do something completely different. I wanted to trial a different region. And so I went on a bit of a global expedition to see where should I...
Oh, tell me, where did you go?
Well, I went to Singapore. I did some early exploration in Canada.
Oh.
I did some deeper exploration in Asia. And then here I am in the UAE.
What attracted you? Yeah, what made you decide that this was, and specifically King's College?
If you come to the Middle East, you can see just the growth potential that's expanding here.
Yeah, it's exploding.
The diversification, how the Middle East has evolved from that kind of oil and gas boom to many different other markets. And you can see so many different headlines about how exports are growing for knowledge, education. But in particular, UAE is one of the only countries that has net import of healthcare demand than export. So a lot of the other countries in GCC export more healthcare dollars than import. UAE is one of the only. If I'm not mistaken, still the only by about 2x still. So we bring in more patients than we send out.
You're a center of excellence for
exactly.
healthcare.
And there's so many other providers, but particularly for King's, we have many patients.
And you're at a certain tier, right?
Correct.
Obviously. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we have transplants, whether it be liver transplants for patients that are all over the world. We have a Parkinson's team.
How many beds here, by the way?
It's very small, actually. It's a 100-bed hospital with 6 feeder clinics. We've just opened a clinic in Bahrain. There's further expansion across the GCC. But we are also expanding the hospital to 200-bed hospital. But I'll
this
tell you
hospital here?
This hospital right here. So right now outside you'll see lots of gravel being thrown around and people preparing for the expansion. But it's probably one of the only hospitals in the world, to be frank, that is 100 beds that's doing multi-organ transplants. So not only do we do traditional acute medicine, we do all the way to quaternary services.
That's crazy.
That's in our robotics program. We do really complex care in Parkinson's.
So, I would have thought from a CTO perspective or innovation officer, size might be a good thing. But so what?
It's a good thing and a bad thing, right?
Well, So tell me, obviously something attracted you here.
When I used to have 500 people in my division back in the old organization running research, venture capital, it was nice because you had you had
Lots of assets
enterprise
and resources,
organization, you had small focused teams that could do a lot more, right? And you generally had dedicated teams. When you come to a small 100-bed hospital, it's very different. Now you take the enterprise bureaucracy out of the equation, of course, and you get different levels of speed and scale, but it also becomes a real test. I was actually talking about this with a colleague today. It becomes a test when you're working in a small organization as to whether you really have it. It's like startup versus enterprise.
I totally agree with you.
Right.
Like, absolutely. Like, I mean, honestly, one of the things I love about Servion is the size of, it isn't vast in terms of number of people, so your actual hands-on capabilities is way higher.
Absolutely.
And I find it way more interesting, especially today.
Couldn't agree more. So that's why I was a very young executive, and still am, to be frank, but a very young executive thinking, you too, right? And thinking, hang on a second, I'm actually de-skilling because now I'm managing an enterprise and I feel like all I'm in is meetings.
Yeah, exactly. Your hands off.
Board
you're
meetings
not
and governance sessions. And I thought, what's going on? I'm too young to go down this path. And so jumping into this organization, immediately, and I joke actually, I'm even taking minutes of my own meetings. I've been back in Excel, driving my own business cases, writing my own. And I even joke with my colleagues, often sending meeting minutes out myself. Right. And I would write, by Sandip Kumar, executive assistant to Sandip Kumar. So I did my in-row joke. But and I do joke, but having to be that level of hands-on. And I know we're today.
I just way more fulfilling.
Right.
I think
it's a real test.
Yeah.
Do you still have it? Can you still get all the way down? Can you still climb all the way up? You go from a board meeting to then you're doing omni-channel analytics yourself and seeing, how is sentiment actually performing? There's not an analyst to give it to. It's kind of like, here's the data set.
Yeah, there's no hiding behind the bureaucracy. No. It's all exposed.
And it's a good thing because you see it yourself.
Yeah. That's way more fulfilling to me. Because you can see a project, if you're getting reports on a project, which is what you might have done in your past life, that's all well and good, but you must have felt like, I would love to get in there. And you probably see a few directions where you go like, I don't know if I agree with that so much.
Absolutely.
And now you
things get lost in translation, right? Particularly enterprise organizations.
And you don't know how much of the truth you're getting at each layer.
And as much as you can build the best operating systems in the world and you can have the right governance, often you pass a task on to someone and pass it on to someone else. And by the time it comes back to you,
it's like, no,
maybe
that's not what I asked for.
Depending on the speed and suddenly then it's completely different. So in this place, it is, you've tasked basically yourself sometimes and you can deliver it in real time, or it's only very few layers.
So let me ask you though, what led you to Servion and Genesys and this, I think it's a customer first or patient first experience. Is it patient first that led to this sort of project, or?
We live in a very hyper-personalized culture in Dubai.
Yes.
It's very competitive when it comes to experience. And so one of the first tasks that I was tasked with is to totally transform the patient experience of all of our potential customers or existing customers, our patients, which is a big task, right? It's not just about It's not just about the single point of contact in the contact center. It's total experience. It's how the patient experiences landing in the car park. It's how they experience check-in. It's how they experience the consult. It's how they experience getting information.
It's interesting that you got that role, being the digital and innovation officer, right? It could it have gone to somebody else potentially?
Of course it could have.
Yeah,
but the reason why someone like I get in my role is far beyond technology. My background's transformation. It's actually doing user experience, A/B testing, it's documenting, it's validating, it's running code design sessions.
So it's more you than necessarily the role.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it was quite interesting actually, because it's the first time I've tried this concept about working backwards design thinking, which was in my first week. I got given this task. This is quite interesting, right? My first week I got given this task.
Yes.
And all I needed to do.
What was the task?
Totally transform our patient experience, which is a huge task.
So they came to you and they said like...
First week. Heads up, this is going to be your first major project. And in my first week, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to align the executive team on the experience that they want. I'm going to take all the noise out of where we are today and the problems and all the deep dives I have to do. But I'm going to say, what is the experience that you want? And I drafted this slide deck, 120 different touch points about the exact experience that we wanted. How does the patient find us on Google search? How do they experience the booking? How do they get a confirmation message? Everything.
So this was the end state you wanted to deliver?
End state. And it was never going to be perfect. It was going to be 80% right. So
Okay.
and the reason
But
I
that's
wanted-
weird. You started with the end state, not the
Right.
initial state.
and it was this concept of working backwards design thinking, because what it was
Oh,
design,
that's what that means.
it was executive team.
Where do I want to go?
Where do you want to go? Is this ambitious enough? Is this the kind of guardrails? Does this look good to you? The reason I wanted to do that, coming fresh into an organization,
That's a good idea.
is I wanted to understand, no matter what innovation I drove, was it actually going to meet the aspirations of the executive team? And the design thinking part of that is then me designing with all the different end users and touch points exactly what the experience is going to be like in reality. It was the first time I've done this, and it was a really interesting exercise. But I have to say, most times you find a technology solution or a redesign project and you're trying to convince everyone.
There's a lot of people that start with a technology,
Right.
to solve a problem that they may or may not have.
all
as
the
opposed to-
problem first, definition. No, I just went,
Well, problem first is okay to me, but technology first is not on. And a lot of CIOs, that's the way they think. It's like, I got this new fancy,
Whatever.
trick, and I just
Right.
want to find a home for it.
exactly. But think about it, this time was a bit different. Was I want you to tell me what your end state is.
Yeah,
Tell me-
yeah.
Before I
Yeah.
even tell you all the problems and what's happening, what is your desired state?
So, did you then go back to them with the actual state?
Iterate.
No. But I think what would have fun would have been is to say, okay, here's where you want to be.
Yeah.
This is where you
of
are.
Course. Of course.
Yeah.
That was the design thinking part.
Yes.
Then it was, hey, 2 weeks later, okay,
I got to
this
come
is where
back
we
and
wanna
show
be.
you where we actually
Yeah,
are.
but let's just talk about how we are really. And then what was really interesting for me was really to create very specific design elements. Okay, this is where we are. This is where you want to be. And let's not boil the ocean on this point. Let's tackle these componentry parts in a sequence. And let me get...
Well, was he where we are revealing to them? Like, was that an awe moment?
Look, I think sometimes it's nice to have fresh eyes to tell you what you believe, and sometimes you
Well, what
great
you
biases,
believe,
right?
but I would say what
you believe,
especially
also
the
what you can't see.
C-suite might have believed in what was happening in reality.
Reality's not there as well. So
Yeah.
sometimes it validates what you believe. Oh, our experience of check-in's really poor. But then other times it's, oh, no, I didn't realize that, our patients are getting their medical results in 7 days. How's that working? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So yes, there's going to be many
Wow, that
aha
would have been
moments. But there's also these reinforcing moments. And actually that kind of
Tension.
tuggle and tension
Yeah,
is
yeah.
really important. But what was the interesting part about this was always going back to, you told me you wanted to be here.
Here's where we were. Yeah,
This is where we are.
yeah.
This is what's going to take for me to get you there. But let's not boil
Did
the
you
ocean.
outline the whole
plan.
mission? Like,
You know what the best thing about this was? Other than some assistance on doing the deep dive diagnostics, I ran this whole exercise myself. So imagine an enterprise executive,
no help. Come on.
no help.
No.
I only had one other person, no help. Myself. I wrote the slides myself. I even used Canva
Oh,
and AI
really?
to design the images.
When did you do this?
This is now November 2024. I use Canva AI myself.
not that-
I never
wow.
learnt Canva. I learned it myself.
No, Canva's
And-
awesome, by the way.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
Credit to the team, right? Another
Yeah.
bunch of Australians, by the way.
There are. That's
Right.
right. They
Right,
just went
so-
public too, I think.
They did. And so jumping in, learning Canva, building the
Cool.
slide deck, actually even coming up with this concept about working backwards design thinking,
I like this.
and sort of telling the executive team. Now that allowed me to combine my many hats, right? My corporate finance background, my management consultancy skills,
Yeah.
this whole kind of UX, UI, co-design
Yes,
skills,
yes.
human-centered design, and even running the workshops myself. I would have troves of
Yeah,
people.
but that'd be fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
But in the back of my mind was always, high ambition, but also anchoring it to like what's practical.
Yes, what can we really do?
Because when you're a management consultant and you're doing co-design, you often get all this feedback from end users. And being the executive in the room, I could also say, yeah, it's really important and interesting.
But we can't really fix that.
But let's just say that's one of those really
That's a
nice to
dream.
have.
That's a
and If
dream.
we had three, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than creating these false expectations.
So what brought you to the having to upgrade the customer service? Like, what brought you there? Like, and was that the first project on your list, or how did
There's
you
actually a fair few. The
Yeah.
first ones are all more about automating results to get back to our patients real time.
So you had some really easy, low-hanging fruit.
of course.
Yeah.
Actually, in that exercise, we realized that we could introduce a really transformative technology and ambient listening to transform the way. That
Oh yeah, you're telling me about that. That is
right.
Yeah, right.
And so I mean that's
That's sort of cool. Like,
right.
do you-
First in
how
region.
many? Yeah, how
In
many?
December.
how many microphones do you have to test before you?
56 in the emergency department.
Crazy.
And colleagues
Yeah.
that have done this in the US would appreciate, or in other markets would appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's really easy to get a microphone to work in an outpatient consult room. It's very interesting to get it to work in a busy emergency department.
So much noise.
And again, 56 different microphones. And who was involved in the design? I was deeply involved in testing microphones.
That's cool.
I mean, again, I re-emphasize this point about enterprise versus startup, scale-up kind of business.
Yeah.
It's very different. But one of the biggest parts about, this total patient experience transformation was meeting the customer where they wanted to be. And this was this idea of patient first. The idea that our customers, they're not organic or binary. They don't operate in one singular way, because Dubai is a very multifaceted, dynamic, industry.
Right. Because I think meeting the customer where they want to be is a bit glib. Like you gotta, like what you're saying now sort of brings it down to, okay, I know what that means.
Correct.
I know what that means.
And specifically, that is, there's no specific genre here. You do A/B testing in different environments.
Yeah. So some of these where I want to be,
Toronto,
this
right?
customer.
New York.
Yeah.
There's so diverse, right? 200 different cultures in Dubai. We're talking about ultra high net worth individuals.
Oh yes.
Some of them have their own teams that deal with healthcare. Some of these are ultra individuals that are running their own startups that like to do it themselves, right? And so, the same 35-year-old does not act in the same way.
That grounds
This is what's led to Genesys.
Okay.
Because what we realized is that a 35-year-old male in Dubai, one would like to call the call center. One other person would like to book on Instagram. Another person would like to book you on X. Another person will happily traverse your web application.
And of course, none of this was possible, right?
This is possible, right?
Yeah. What was not possible at the time, like before this project?
Possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Not possible. We could do chat, but we'd have to go back into clunky Cerner. We could not do X on Instagram. We couldn't do any of that. And we had an old.
Do you have people that actually use X to communicate?
Yeah.
DM?
I still can celebrate my first automated X booking. People message us.
Very
on X.
cool.
And
Very
so
cool.
we nested Genesys inside X. No one believed me. I was like,
that is
I'm going to
cool.
celebrate this point that someone will do a booking on X, because they'll message us on their platform and complete a booking.
Being where the customer wants to be.
You know what the most amazing thing was? Humanless. From X, chat, into Cerner, confirmation message, no person involved whatsoever.
Amazing.
Fully automated.
Amazing.
And someone said to me, how do you think about that use case? And I said, when I first started, in the second week, when I was playing it back to the executive team, and then I went and did a co-design piece and came back and validated and showed some aha moments. One of the things I said is, I personalize industry. We need to meet the customer where they want to engage with us across all channels. And one of the channels I picked up was the amount of engagement we get on social media and all platforms, Instagram, X.
What are you pushing out there? What are they engaging on?
So X is like, a lot of our physicians will comment on X, right?
Oh, so
the patients will grab the hook there and start inquiring about Kings, or in Instagram.
New special sort of process they're running.
We have this amazing marketing team, bless them, and they're very dynamic and creative about how they engage different audiences and different platforms.
Cool.
And so all I was telling them was, you drive that engagement, but make sure the conversion happens inside that tool.
Yes.
And don't bring them back to a clunky experience. Convert inside. And we will commonly iterate, because this is just generation one of our thinking.
Sure.
And when agentic comes into this play, we'll be able to do a lot more. I can see a world where, irrelevant the platform you choose, this is all plugged in by Genesys, integrated through Cerner. Irrelevant the platform you choose, as long as we can authenticate you, we could do a lot more in any platform you choose. So you can think about this. Hospitals love this concept about their own portal. They spend all this money and bring you to this secure portal, two-factor, and then inside that portal, you can navigate and get everything.
Yes.
Fine. I'm a big believer in that. But let's democratize this.
Say that again? Exactly.
So you know what? People are getting frustrated in the industry with more apps. Now, of course, I've launched my own app. Fine. But people are getting frustrated. I've got so many apps.
Yeah, that's where, again, going to where the customer is, as opposed to, so you're forcing another app on them, in this case.
And they may not want it. And some people do, some people don't. You've got to meet every customer with a different expectation.
Yeah.
The world's not binary anymore. So there could be a deep world where we have a whole customer group that only wants to engage with us through Instagram. So we have to meet their needs. We might have to be able to figure out.
Do you have a sense of the channel usage and which ones are driving?
Well, it's so dynamic.
Horses for courses?
Horses for courses in UAE, because we work on a global Middle East market, there are still markets that only like paper-based engagement.
No way.
And there's still markets of the young entrepreneurs that like to engage with us through Twitter. Or I was reading a paper yesterday saying Snapchat's making a massive comeback in the region. So how do we get our interest in the Snap? And and of course,
how long did it take you to working with Servion and Genesys? How long did it take you to get from concept to operation?
I mean, our two organizations had this philosophy of sprint together. In 10 weeks, fully launched an integrated Genesys Cerner implementation.
10 weeks. That's 10 amazing. Weeks. And multi-channel.
Multi-channel, yeah.
What the channels you deployed?
So we've done Instagram.
Yeah.
X. Facebook. Web. WhatsApp. Voice. Now we've done it in our patient
Does
portal.
Voice include the contact center?
Voice includes contact center, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, and that includes IVR as well.
Yeah.
Now we've done into
email.
Yeah. Now we've done into our app.
I was going to ask.
All these channels. In our patient portal. 8 channels in 10 weeks. It's just amazing. The velocity we worked at.
That's incredible.
Now, and that was a
okay. So we were talking before, that is great. So you're engaging your customers where they are. You've improved the ability to convert. Through those channels. What were some of the benefits that say the board loved or the doctors loved? What were some of the results that you got out of that? You're this was a game changer for us. This really helped.
At an organizational level, we were able to deal with the same patient loads with the same number of staff, 40% efficiency there. And what we didn't predict, right, because we never knew this. So some of these innovations all about this. You just learn on the go, and you have to have the right mindset.
Yeah, you got to be able to move, right?
And so we had a philosophy of the amount of leads we were losing, but we underdone that. And so when we seen this ramp up efficiency, and we turned the average turnaround time of a call from 5 minutes to 2.5 minutes.
Yes.
We've seen this huge, and we opened all these channels. We've seen this unpredicted demand growth.
Oh, so not just lost leads that you couldn't get to, that you were sort of delayed, but the fact that you were responding so quickly.
Yeah.
What do you think that drove growth? And just word of mouth, or
conversions happening straight away? Because this is a very competitive.
Because you were on the channel at the time, in the moment, responding.
Convert in real time. And now, most hospital executives are worried about getting more scheduling and bookings. Is my no-show and cancellation? No. So we've completely flattened our no-show cancellation rates. We've seen this merge of demand.
How did the no-show cancellations go away?
So what is a philosophy in healthcare that if you start acquiring new customers, what you don't want is negative acquisition, where it's just like you're getting patients in to do bookings, but they don't ever turn up. So what you don't want to see is
that's an issue.
It's a real problem, right, in healthcare, because you start
it's a lost cause. You got
in the commercial
very
world,
expensive doctor.
I'm acquiring more customers, and they're booking, but they're not being seen.
Totally.
So what you want to see in any of this innovation is you acquire more, but you don't drive any growth and no-show or cancellations.
Right.
So what we've seen,
we've
seen stable, now actually reducing no-show rates, which is amazing because of the way that we use the omni-channel experience to drive
better notifications,
etc.
Okay.
All plugged by Genesys. We use the analytical smarts, sentiment analysis, and actually text analysis to make sure that we can start predicting who's going to show or not. So there's some smarts behind that.
Oh, that's cool.
But also,
I can see that.
Acquisition growth.
So you're using call recording, you're recording the calls, you're processing in real time.
Use text, run the algorithm, easy to do. Yeah. But really interesting.
That Canadian's not showing up.
Really interesting. Of course, they're the worst thing we rely on, right? The really interesting thing is acquisition went up, conversions went up, and so we started seeing more patients. But most interestingly, the same amount of staff. Now we said, okay, Genesys is hitting its stride.
Yeah.
Let's start. We actually curtailed down some of our call center staff. Started seeing this real 50%.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because we're like, actually now
because they're converting on different channels now,
and we're using automation, so people can now suddenly book on WhatsApp. And WhatsApp's our biggest intermediary right now.
It is your biggest channel. WhatsApp.
WhatsApp in the multiple days this year has outperformed voice already, and we've softly launched this. We're talking less than 6 months into this agenda.
That's crazy.
Early days, right? Now, what was quite interesting, again, as you learn, is our spread of patient demand across clinicians changed. Now, think about this. Unless you're deep into certain...
Yes.
Unless
I was
you're deep
asking
into
about this.
So what happens is now we have equal presentation of all the clinicians in that specialty. Now, most booking systems work left to right.
Right.
So if you go into a Cerner scheduling screen, you're always looking at the person who's on the left-hand side, and then you're going, all right.
You want to have your name that's high up in the
So if you go to
alphabet.
family medicine, no, actually even the alphabet, it's like the way that the scheduling is all structured. It's like left to right.
Oh.
So actually, if you look at it inside a booking schedule screen,
Yes,
in the
yes,
medical
yes,
record,
yes.
you'll see names of people and their availability.
Oh, right. Okay.
And now you can search as well,
oh,
but you'll still see
I
a
get it.
schedule.
I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, also, you're depending on the person and their knowledge of your healthcare system. So you're depending on the call center agent. We've got 400
Right.
different
Who's got a
doctors.
like adopted sort of mental
Now,
model
these
of
are traditional call center agents and their knowledge about family medicine and the condition that's been
course.
presented
Who
and
would?
who would.
Yeah.
And so you tend to get reality biases in booking.
And that's
right?
why your bookings.
Right.
Yeah. Got it.
And there are also other things that happen in call center agents, which we shouldn't talk about, where suddenly there's demand, favoritism, right?
Jumping the queue.
Right. And
Yeah.
so there's all that happens. And what happened with Genesys is it completely flattened out. So when we introduced this
So
technology,
your doctor satisfaction level lifted across, like in
the
aggregate.
broad
Yeah,
range.
in
And
aggregate.
suddenly
Probably
we
a
started
little
seeing-
bit less happy.
we
But
started seeing certain physicians that were performing at rates we've never seen before. But
Great.
since specialties
and that's
growing,
total utilization, right?
totally that's what you want as a healthcare executive. Now, what was really interesting was it wasn't because of Genesys and the transparency that it creates and the even playing field we've created. Now, also we worked with the Servion team to build the bookings module inside Genesys.
Right.
So now when someone calls, we built a specific bespoke application inside.
Right. You're saying you don't have to go out to
No.
Cerner, so that means
I mean, there's all sorts
there's
of
some benefits.
there's all sorts of enterprise licensing benefits,
Yeah.
but also the agent never leaves. So we designed these specific screens. for
Awesome.
them.
That's a big issue, right? The more screens that an agent has, the harder it is on their workload.
Also,
it's like
all inside
it slows
Genesys.
down their efficiency.
Right, and that
Yeah.
just drove like that conversion speed.
Yeah.
And we're using Firebase APIs to talk to them EMR, and we're able to build all these like unified experiences for the agents. Not getting an agent to work for how Cerner likes it, but let's get an agent to work for how they would like to build
100%.
it. And it's just transformed the game for us.
So let's move ahead because we were talking again before this interview about some of the agentic AI stuff.
Right. It's fun stuff.
This is
Fun stuff.
amazing.
So we've now built this data model, of course, with our partnership with Servion, where we can see types of conversations that patients like to have with us, and we've got 6 months of rich data now. Now, putting a agentic layer on top of it means that not only can the automation go further,
Right.
think about this, if we can go far greater than just the traditional booking, but all these inquiries, we can now use text to text or voice to text
Voice.
in real time. Think about WhatsApp being the main channel that patients like in this region. They won't have to know as a patient that it's an agent, physical human, or it's a agentic layer.
And look, I'll say we're a big believer in offloading the mundane tasks from the agent.
Correct.
But delivering that context to the agent so that they can have an informed conversation with that
Correct.
client. And you definitely want to have an escape route for,
Exactly.
if these things aren't perfect and they
They're
start
not.
spinning,
They're
you
not.
want to be able to get out and talk
No,
to
but you
people.
can leverage, and that's the great plug actually, because you can leverage the same workforce for higher fidelity tasks, and the agentic layer dealing with those maybe mundane questions, but then just accelerating. You think about this idea that you have an agent which is always consistently on. Now we work in this really interesting space in Dubai with King's brand, where we can have unpredictable spikes at midnight because there could be a crisis happening in Egypt, for example.
Sure. Yeah.
And so suddenly there's an influx of patients. I'm talking theoretical, that's the world that we live in.
Yeah.
And so what we're looking at is embedding our agentic layer inside these channels so that we can completely drive hyper-personalization. Not just bookings, but
Because there's that revenue model part that I think is really exciting too that you can start driving as well. Like, have you thought about this? All the billing back end and all the...
No, but not building backend, but not even that. Just simple things like I went and seen my doctor. So say you're my doctor and you prescribed me to get an X-ray, and I haven't done my X-ray booking. Well, I can get an agent to troll that and say,
See, that's it.
2 days time, hey, just a reminder that you haven't done your X-ray and we need to see you in 7 days. So not only going to book
And you
your
can get
X-ray-
an agent to do that in the back.
Right. I don't need people to be thinking about what did the clinician say, how did we engage with the audience, did the patient reply, is the booking made. I can just use a very thin agentic layer. And what's really exciting about this, I think that spending time studying healthcare systems, I think one of the biggest problems in healthcare systems is patients adhering to care plan and organizations adhering to care plans. So
So they're driven off the contracts, the terms, the
correct
care provision,
and how many patients do we see in medicine that's a patient that hasn't done that task that you asked them to, so hasn't done the x-ray.
Right.
But again, they're paying out of their pocket to come and see you again. Or there's no way for us to check until we do the 3-month review that they've taken their medications the right way. There's so many permutations of this, right?
Oh, yeah.
So think about an agentic layer
AI layer.
that helps you do this. You just have to train it, task it.
Have you thought about like what you're going to go after first, and then how long will this journey, like in your mind's eye, this going to take you?
So some of the biggest requests that we have in healthcare are, of course, appointments, scheduling, but things like really excited me, quick reference guides. So I've had a medication, I've totally forgot what the physician said about should I fast or not.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
So just quick Q&A
chat. Yeah.
Hey, pharmacy, QRG, I've taken these medications. Authenticate.
So do you have a knowledge management system you'll be able to hook right into?
All our QRGs for medications that we prescribe and dispense, all built in.
Absolutely.
Simple.
Absolutely.
Preparation for procedures. We know what the preparation procedures are, but being able to
And so how do you do that today?
Right now, it's just after you see a physician, they'll just give you a pamphlet. Sometimes a nurse will
you
call
forgot
you.
the pamphlet. Oh, the nurse will call you. See,
or you
think
have
about that.
You have a pre-anesthetic clinic, which is called a PAC, underneath to tell you what you need to do. There's many ways. PAC. So it's a pre-anesthetic assessment clinic.
Pre-anesthetic assessment.
And so
clinic.
the anaesthetists often give you a questionnaire, some of them 100, some of them 200, depending on the complexity, and they'll take you through something. Even something as simple as getting an MRI. It's often not till you arrive at the MRI and you're doing MRI screening on the day that says, oh, you actually do have metals, or actually, sorry, let's take you down a different pathway than you were going down.
How does Agentic help you with that?
So again, it's just using the codified structured data that we have, same as a quick reference guide. It's an assessment prior to MRI, and will allow the person to chat through it, right?
Oh, got it. So okay, so you can do a better assessment and get that information before they show up.
Chat, not funky 1,000 rich text QRG. It's just using chat to drive that conversation.
Well, that sounds like very exciting.
Care, right?
Oh, and how long? Like, how long is this going to take? This next step?
As soon as we hit the sign on dotted line, it's a 12-week sprint. We've done first layer 1. And
wow, that is so cool.
Quick reference guides, procedure notes. Now you think about this. It's like you as a patient. You're my patient now. You can chat to me 24/7, and I can answer queries. And the things that are complicated, that's what we train staff to deflect and say.
And that's what staff want to do. I'd rather be working on the interesting stuff than it goes back right to in fact, this is a good place to wrap, I think, goes back to the very top of the conversation where you decided to move from the 5,000 seat organization to the 100 seat organization because you can get your hands in it. And I just find it so much more fulfilling.
Absolutely.
Because you can really see the results of what you've done.
One of the call center agents said to me, 21-year-old, say, I feel like a zombie. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I'm on these 2 queues, and all I do is the same repetitive task, and I'm a zombie. Yeah. It's like if you can just use AI to make me less of a zombie, then I could add so much more value and have more empathetic conversations. Because I don't have 100 people queuing just to do that one task.
Some of the things that I think a lot of folks in the agentic AI space are missing is that freeing up the human to a more fulfilling life for themselves.
Correct.
And that your customers, your patients, want to have that human interaction.
Absolutely.
And anybody that's trying to contain this away, I think will miss the mark. Absolutely. And especially, at a hospital setting.
And a lot of what we can do to extend our operating model to be really personalized.
Yes, and
healthcare
it gives you more time to be more personalized.
Correct. And it solves these problems. They're the big problem in healthcare, actually. They aren't seeing the first specialist. What we see globally is the gap between that specialist and the next time you see them, the next person. And so allowing technology to fill these gaps. There was this great book actually written it's called The Patient Priority, and it basically defines that the biggest issue is care navigation. And
care navigation. That's a good. Because you get flipped across to other and that information.
Like, what does that person need, or do I know what I need to do next?
It's definitely not patient first.
And if you have an environment where you have waiting lists, it's like I totally forgot what I needed to do. But I'm too embarrassed as a person to go and ask that gentleman in the white coat again. I've got to wait 3 months to see them again. I don't want to frustrate them on calling. Right. And so just being able to enable a layer where you can do it.
In fact, you can think of a day where that doctor will have its own agentic AI agent that will have
Correct.
speak to your patients, right?
You know, one of the things that I've learned about this transformation, that I think we as executives sometimes oversell ourselves. We know everything. We've done all the diagnoses and we've got the best plan in place. And I keep telling people, speed's important, and you will just learn along the way. As long as you have that mindset in these kind of CX transformations.
Boy, and the pace is pretty frenetic, though.
Right.
It's incredible.
And I think credit to working with Servion. You ran our race with us, so you
Yeah.
were as agile as we needed you to be, and so we moved so fast together. And I think that's what was really dynamic about that first sprint. Is I still remember sitting with your team and together. One of your engineers probably hated this, right? 16 hours together of like every single step of the WhatsApp journey and saying, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And then when we applied it, we actually went back to them and said, oh, that's not working. Let's do this. That's their mindset.
Of course.
You can, as long as you're willing.
You got to iterate. Like I think iteration's
because perfection's never going to be there. You got to get this product out to market and test, right? You got to get the minimum viable product out to market, test what works.
MVP's the way,
right,
and then iterate. Sandeep, that has been really illuminating. I really appreciate it. And it's been a joy being a partner with you. Looking forward to the future ride.
Absolutely. I'm sure we're going to have so much more to share
in
the next couple of months.
Thanks.